up into two categories, acute and chronic. Acute fear can come out of nowhere like a sudden cardiac arrest or the thunderclap headache heralding rupture of a cerebral aneurysm. One moment you're sitting down at the nurse's station checking labs or writing notes or any number of mundane and yet endless tasks which consume probably 75% of a resident's time. Next moment you're getting paged stat to one of the operating rooms on labor and delivery where, upon your rushing through the door, a nurse thrusts a grayish, purple, flaccid, and completely unresponsive newborn into your arms, still slicked with greenish-bound meconium, the imprint of the giant metal forceps from delivery still visible over each ear. Oh shit. Or being called emergently into a patient's room early one evening where you find her disoriented, wearing only a pair of underwear, the front of her gown wide open, copiously vomiting what looks like a gallon of congealed blood onto the floor next to her bed. Oh shit. Or arriving at a stat intubation on one of the patient floors to find a cachectic patient teetering on the edge of respiratory failure, a patient who you're told has had a series of strokes that render him unable to open his mouth, and some unfortunate head and neck tumors that are likely critically compressing his trachea. Once again, oh shit. That was a real case that I had to intubate, by the way. Acute fear is visceral, mind-numbing, time-warping, and the closest I can come to describing it is being hurled headfirst into a plunge pool filled with ice water. And the instinct at any level of training is immediate and reflexive, a fight-or-flight response. I know that I'm responsible for taking care of this patient, and now I have to figure out what I'm going to do, the rational mind says. However, underneath the rational, upon being exposed to such horror, seeing things that no one in their right minds would ever want to see, the overpowering instinct is simply to run away. Everyone has a handful of acute fear stories, and we share them readily in a way having to escape scared and bring thirst to the storm. All you need to do is get a couple of doctors to table. If none of you here, next know everyone comes coming out of their favorite shit or stories. Create for them now like all these cards. One pride also fits right in us not my part to talk about that. As well as the transport for which was the president and the psychologist, where women in the case I heard continue to start lasting sound like walking to that tile. I looked at the ground table and saw the blood running on it literally like about a office. The forgotten condition as it's being research on school floor. I went from internet running over the room and bread was like under the release and split. Like was like it's very unaccustomed. So it's basically fast as we lay out of the fear is interesting. It's exciting. For the post we are open about it, usually is some sad just about it. That's for somewhere else that I can control. At least in the most part, then blessingness. And then for chronic fear. Chronic fear is a low system variety. So over the days of weeks or years and then as such factors one more time sex getting to and rationalization. There are many variations of chronic fear, and many different stages as one of medical care. But all the cells of drug practice is the same thing. I get scared because I don't know if I do this. I don't feel like I have the skills. I don't want her to hurt my patient when my day is fixed. I don't know if I've been adequately trained to do this. I don't feel ready that yet. Here I am. Dr. Toad talks about chronic fear. The doctor's chronic fear level has an inversely proportional relationship to the number of his or her years in practice. Probably most physicians have felt some level of chronic fear at some point. As a resident, I am well acquainted with the phenomenon, but I see fleeting glimpses of it in my attendings too when they are pushed into situations outside of their comfort zones. Everyone feels inadequacy at some point, because even the best physicians cannot possibly be expert at everything. Obviously, the reason that we don't talk much about chronic fear is that no one wants to admit that they've even entertained the notion that we may not be good enough to do our jobs. Part of it stems from the extremely high expectations society has for its doctors, and that doctors have for themselves. I'm smart. I went to medical school. I've been in training for years. I've jumped over every hurdle, worked hard. People seem to trust me, rely on me to know what I'm doing. So how do I deal with the nagging feeling that I'm just not quite ready? Chronic fear, basically, is just not cool. So we don't talk about it. We continue to work hard, amplify our experience and confidence, and hope that soon enough our self-image will catch up with the outward image that we project. I think that fear can sometimes be a good thing, though. Obviously, maladaptive fear is not. I think that curling in a ball in the corner of the OR, rocking back and forth while keening about one's perceived inadequacies has very little therapeutic value for our patients or for ourselves. But I think that every physician should always be able to feel a small amount of fear. Fear is a stimulus to be better. Fear protects you from hubris. Fear is a guard against complacency. And frankly, I think that fear is a form of respect to the patient, to the practice of medicine, and to the knowledge that despite best intentions, things don't always go as planned. We are entrusted with the lives of our patients every day. In anesthesia, we essentially take the entire being of the patient into our hands, shutting down their consciousness, taking over the function of their lungs, their hearts, the blood flow to their organs, the very delivery of oxygen that keeps each cell of their body alive. And every day we tell our patients that at the end of it all, we will return their bodies to them, undamaged, or in some cases even improved. And patients, for the most part, trust that we will do just that. This is the job that we do every day. And every mistake we make while caring for our patients, every tactical misstep or error in judgment, feels like a breach of that trust. Fear? How can we not be afraid? The day that you sit back and think you're infallible is the day that your clinical instincts are gone. In other words, if you don't admit to being scared sometimes, you're an asshole. That's it.